Got him. Oh, that's a good fish. Welcome back, everybody. So it's not very often that you find something kind of unique as far as lures go in the fishing industry, just because there's so much that's already been done. But this is one that I had found on the internet and seemed a little bit different. It's probably the most expensive spinnerbait I've ever seen, but very, very interesting. So this is what we're fishing with today. Again, we do have the giveaway going on, so stay till the end to see if we end up giving that away or just adding more lures to the box. But let's get into it. So this is our spinnerbait. It's from Tornado Innovations. It is a spinnerbait. I'm sure you can tell the arm is fluoro. So you can imagine, I guess, a little bit more of a finesse presentation, probably a little bit better for clear water. With that bend, it probably gives off a ton of vibration, which is all great. I think these are hand tied, but they're $30. I've never seen a spinnerbait, I don't think, more than like 15 or 18, and that's usually from your JDM stuff. So it'll be interesting. We're gonna go ahead and throw this around, starting with a mini pond. Again, just to try and catch some fish before we lose it to potentially a pike or something like that. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this works. With it being fluoro and you can't really bend it, I don't know how you really tune this thing. So we're gonna try that out and see kind of what happens. Would imagine that we'll probably catch a fair number of fish out at the mini pond, but then we'll try and catch some bigger stuff at another lake. So let's get this guy tied on and see what happens. All right, so we got her all tied up. The line tie actually is a little bit of crimped on metal, so obviously that'll hold together a little bit better. Let's go ahead and see how she goes. It looks like it runs pretty true, to be honest. Definitely some vibration to it. Yeah, I think we're gonna end up catching some fish. We'll start off with throwing without a trailer, just to see kind of how that goes. I'm interested to see what kind of longevity it has with this fluoro. Apparently it says that it's stronger than wire ones. If you catch a bunch of fish on a wire spinnerbait, they're bound to break at some point in time. It says that doesn't really happen with this one, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But interesting. Very interesting. So let's go ahead and see what happens. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a fish on our first cast, because it seems like fish are absolutely loaded right now. Yeah, there's definitely vibration to it, even without a trailer or anything else like that. It looks like it runs true. Both the blades are spinning. Looks like it does everything it's supposed to. I just need to catch a couple fish and... Oh, there's one. It's like our fourth cast. Not a big one, but again, at the mini pond, we don't expect that. I'm more interested to see what happens, little guy, to this. Clearly the hooks are decent. I think it's a owner jungle hook, so those clearly work well. First fish on it, and doesn't look like it's changed shape at all, so that's good. There's a fish that just jumped. See if we can't go 2 for 2. But yeah, interesting. Now, as far as price goes, $30. I think everything is hand tied, and you know, they obviously, with the owner and all that stuff, definitely quality components. So obviously you're gonna pay more just in general for that. So I think that's to be expected, but $30 is pretty steep for a spinnerbait. And they do have more than just spinnerbaits. I think they got buzz baits, umbrella rigs, all sorts of stuff. It was just very interesting to me. Something just a little bit different in the fishing industry, but I like it. Just hope I don't lose it too quickly. There's one. Little guy again. Ooh. Got that whole thing down there. That is a tiny, tiny little mouth for such a big spinnerbait. Our second. Nothing big, but how she looks so far. Still looks good. Still looks normal, running true. That's one of the worst things about spinnerbaits is if they can't get tuned or they just don't tune well. I've had plenty of spinnerbaits, even by like the same brand. Oh, I had another one that hit it. Even by the same brand, that some that are super easy to tune, and then other ones just for whatever reason, no idea why, it just seems impossible to get them to run right. But there's one. There's a bunch of tiny, good gracious. There's a bunch of really shallow rock that these fish seem to be on. Look at that little guy. And the bait's like half as big as he is. So on that shallow rock, because that seems to be where a lot of these fish are, I've been absolutely burning it. And with some spinnerbaits, they don't do well, you know, retrieved quickly. But this thing does a phenomenal job of not blowing out or anything else like that, and just being able to cruise an inch and a half below the surface. And that's what we caught that one on. I like this thing a lot. I don't necessarily like the price, but I can understand, you know, it being hand tied and all the components and all that stuff, it being more expensive. But oh, there's another one. Oh, that one missed it, but they're small fish. Burning again. But this is pretty neat. If this was like a $9 spinnerbait, I would buy these on the regular, and the blades work extremely well. Sometimes when you have a spinnerbait, occasionally like one of the blades won't turn quite as quickly, or you know, kind of doesn't really work all that well. Not the case with this one. So I like this a lot, but we will most certainly be taking this out on another lake to see if we can't possibly catch some bigger fish. Giveaway. Oh, there's one. Burning again. We'll be doing out on Instagram. Another little guy. Ski him on in. Little guy. I honestly wish I didn't like this as much, because I don't want my spinnerbaits to cost this much. But it'll be interesting. If we'll definitely have some bigger fish than these guys, but it'll be interesting to see if this warps or anything like that after some bigger fish. I didn't really talk much about the components. It is hand tied, so there's a wire down there. Should do a pretty decent job of keeping that skirt on. I think this is a owner jungle hook that's supposed to be nano coated, so sticky sharp. Should be pretty easy penetration for any of those fish that bite. Clearly all the fish that we've gotten, even the small ones, have gotten stuck very well. And it does have a screw lock for your plastic trailer, which we'll be throwing, maybe not today to be honest, but when we go out to a bigger lake trying to catch some bigger fish, we might end up putting a trailer on. But right now this seems to be working for these smaller ones. Oh, there's one. Burning in again. Little guy. All the little ones, like much smaller than normal. Well, that is it for today. I love fishing these little ponds because they're basically ginormous test tanks, because there's a lot of fish in here, and if you have a decent bait, they will most certainly bite it. But we won't lose those baits from pike and stuff. So I do like fishing here initially, but we will most certainly go out to a lake that does have pike and definitely bigger bass to see if we can't catch some fish with this guy. We didn't get hung up in any weeds or brush, which is great. But I guess as far as that goes, we don't really know, I guess, the longevity or how this arm would hold up to everything. It feels pretty normal. I guess I didn't do the greatest job checking it out beforehand. feels a little rough. I don't know if that's from running on some of the rock that we had run over, but it does feel a little rough, but this is quite thick, so I don't think we should have any concern of losing it yet, but I guess we'll see. Till the next lake, hopefully we get some bigger fish. All right, we are out again throwing our clear arm spinnerbait on a much bigger lake with much bigger fish. So we're gonna see if we can't catch a couple. We did pair it up with a Zako trailer. That absolutely looks gorgeous on there. Hopefully the fish think so also. Let's start chucking around and see if we can't get into a couple. Hopefully we don't find a pike and lose this quick, but hopefully we find some fish before that. Oh, there's one. right where it should be. Not a bad one, not a big one by any means, but look at that. Right up in that little cove. Oh, that's not a bad one. Come on, buddy. Come on. Oh, don't shake off. Feisty. There we go. That's not a... Oh, look at that tiny little mouth on that big old fish. It's a 2.5 pounder probably. Not a 4, but not a bad fish. They like the clear arm spinnerbait just in that little cove, right where you should be. See how she looks after our first semi-decent fish. Looks like she's all holding together. Let's keep chucking around, see if we can't get some more. Got him. Oh, that's a good fish. I just felt, oh my. There we go. I just felt that there's a fish sitting back in there. He absolutely smoked it. Ugh, the clear arm. That's another 2.5 pounder. Easy, easy. But I figured there'd be a fish sitting right back in there. So I slow rolled it and then popped over one lily pad. Smoked. It's awesome. It's one of the more neat spinnerbait bites I've ever had. Well, that is it for today. We caught a couple fish, nothing real big. On the second fish, unfortunately, I think we did lose our eye, which is not great for a $30 spinnerbait. But we didn't catch a 4 pounder, so let's get back to the house and find a bait to go ahead and drop in the box and talk about this guy a little bit more. All right, we are back home after using our clear arm spinnerbait. So we didn't end up catching anything really big. A couple very nice 2.5, 2 3/4 pounders, but nothing real big to put this through the test. We did get hung up with one stick, but we got that undone pretty easily, so we didn't put a ton of pressure on it. But this thing looks like it's been through some stuff. I don't know what we smoked with this blade. I don't know how well you can see it, but we took a chunk out of both sides of it. So I don't know if that was against one of the rocks at some point in time, but yeah, not great as far as that goes. We ended up losing an eye also on this spinnerbait, so that wasn't great either. The one thing that was nice about it is if you do that on a normal spinnerbait, a lot of times obviously it's not quite centered anymore, so it won't run right. This one still did. I don't know if it's that clear arm or what exactly made it do that, but it still ran completely fine. So that's good. Not great that we lost an eye. I think it was on our last fish that we had lost that eye. And for $30, that's not really something that you're probably wanting. We didn't end up hooking up with any pike. I was a little surprised that we didn't get a bite from that. So I don't know how well this fluoro arm would really hold up. There is some roughness to it, so it did get some abrasions. But yeah, it'd be interesting if you got 2, 3 pike, how quick this would potentially break. But nevertheless, it is really interesting, and I actually really did like it. I wish it was like the normal price of a normal spinnerbait, and I would use them quite a bit. It was very, very nice how well it ran. It always seemed to run straight, but the amount of vibration and pull this thing had reminded me a lot of almost like a jackhammer throwing it around in the kayak. It would pull the kayak so hard. It was crazy. And so obviously you probably get a lot of vibration from that very, very flexible arm. But yeah, wish they were a little bit cheaper because I would definitely buy more of them. But that being said, we did not catch another 4-pounder, so we're still doing that giveaway. It's going to be very similar to a series. So from now until December 1st, if we catch a 4-pounder, or if we don't, it'll be December 1st, we are adding lures for every video we don't. So if we don't end up catching any 4-pounders through the end of summer and fall, there are going to be a lot of baits that are given away. But we'll be doing that giveaway on Instagram. So make sure to like, share, comment. Let anybody know who wants the opportunity to go ahead and potentially win some baits about it, and they can follow along too. So far, we've got quite a few things in here. We use a spinnerbait. This video, we already have a spinnerbait in the box, so I'm going to go ahead and put something in that I actually have never used before. It's not an underspin. I don't know if this is a top spin, or an overspin, but it's interesting. Basically a spinnerbait for the most part. But so we are going to go ahead and throw that in there. We are adding quite a bit of stuff, and we have not caught anything close to a 4-pounder for the past couple weeks. So our box is getting quite full. Follow along again. If you guys like the video, if you don't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos like it, if you don't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till the next one.